Hello, welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Here are the headlines we are tracking this evening. A sharp escalation in the diplomatic row between India and Canada. Both countries expel each other's ambassadors after Canadian police accuse India of working with criminal organizations to kill Sikh separatists. India's External Affairs Ministry dismisses the charges, terming it preposterous. Crude oil prices decline on demand concerns and the possibility of Israel attacking Iran. Brent drops below $75 a barrel after top oil-producing nations lowered the demand outlook. More than 70 people killed in Gaza and Lebanon in the last 24 hours after a fresh wave of Israeli attacks. UN peacekeepers remain in Lebanon, defying Israel's warning to withdraw. Netanyahu reportedly assured US officials that Israel will not target nuclear and crude oil facilities in Iran. The 28,000 crore rupee Hyundai IPO is open for subscription. Around 18% of the proposed offer has been subscribed on day one. If successful, this will be India's largest IPO yet. Prime Minister Modi inaugurates the 8th edition of the India Mobile Congress. Akash Ambani says Reliance Jio is laying the groundwork for national AI infrastructure. Sunil Mittal calls for laws to ensure satellite companies pay license fees and buy spectrum at an auction. Telecom Minister Sindhya rules out an auction but says spectrum will be allocated to SATCOM players at the price determined by the regulator. Election Commission announces assembly election dates for Maharashtra and Jharkhand. All 288 Maharashtra seats will vote in a single phase on the 20th of November. Jharkhand will see two-phase voting on the 13th and 20th of November. Results for both assembly elections will be announced on the 23rd of November. After 5 weeks, Samsung India workers call off their strike at the Chennai plant. Tamil Nadu government says company officials and the labour union have agreed to 4 major resolutions which broke the deadlock. Heavy rains lashed Chennai and 3 adjoining districts. Schools, colleges and non-essential government offices remain shut as most private offices switch to work from home mode. The Met Department has issued a red alert for tomorrow. The US dollar will not be dislodged as the international currency, says Agustin Carstens, the head of the Bank of International Settlements. The central bank to all global central banks played down the threat of a recession or financial instability. That's an exclusive. India's Department of Consumer Affairs notifies new guidelines to prevent claims of greenwashing by companies. Companies using terms like eco-friendly or organic in advertisements will need to substantiate those claims with evidence. Let's start with the market action. Sensex and Nifty ended with minor cuts after a range-bound session. Sensex lost over 150 points and the Nifty lost 70 points. Mid-caps and financial stocks fared slightly better than the blue chips. Oil prices slid as the OPEC lowered its outlook for global oil demand growth in 2024 and 2025. This is the producer group's 3rd consecutive downward revision of the world's oil demand estimate. Reports that Israel is looking to strike only Iranian military bases and not nuclear oil targets also ease supply concerns. Monisha Gupta is standing by with more details.
Well, yes, very, very volatile crude oil prices. But after 2% of decline yesterday, we've seen 5% of a cut coming in today as well. So much so that we did see the WTI crude prices fall below $70 a barrel. Well, the most important point has been the war premium, which has been the highest. And with Israel saying that they will not strike the oil facilities and the nuclear facilities within Iran, has taken that premium off the prices. The second is that there is near record high spare capacity with OPEC. So even if something does happen in sense of oil supply disruption, the OPEC could actually increase production therein. The third important point is the world oil demand, which has continued to decline. After OPEC yesterday, IEA also has cut or revised downwards the world oil demand for this year and the next as well, and that's weighing onto the markets. And then it also has to do with the dollar index, which is trading at a 10-week highs. So many of these dollar-denominated commodities have been under pressure. And finally, it has been about China as well, which seems to be moving away from oil to LNG and to EV, and that has brought down the demand. In any case, the Chinese imports between Jan to September for this year have declined by nearly 3%. And weak China data, not too much of a strong stimulus measure coming in, also continues to weigh onto the prices. So weakness perhaps might just about continue for some more days when it comes to crude.
More than 70 people have been killed in Gaza and Lebanon in the last 24 hours after a fresh wave of Israeli attacks. At least 45 Palestinians were killed in northern Gaza as the Israeli siege of a refugee camp enters day 11. The UN peacekeepers remain in Lebanon, defying a warning from Israel to withdraw. According to reports in the Washington Post and Wall Street Journal, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu has reportedly assured US officials that Israeli forces will not target nuclear and crude oil facilities in Iran. Israel has promised to retaliate after Iran launched a barrage of missiles at Tel Aviv earlier this month. The price of Bitcoin has surged above the $65,000 mark after the disappointment over China's stimulus measures drove investments into cryptocurrency markets. The liquidation of short positions in the past 24 hours also drove the crypto's price higher. Demand for Bitcoin among traders has steadily risen since April, and it is now 12% from an all-time high. The US dollar will prevail as the main currency in the international financial system. That's the word coming in from Agustin Carstens, the head of the Bank for International Settlements. The central bank to all global central banks feels that there is no currency that is more reliable than the American dollar. In an exclusive conversation with CNBC TV 18, Carstens also played down the threat of a recession or financial instability.
At the end of the day, the dollar has developed the main avenues. At the end of the day, financial transactions depend on the credibility of the currency. And at the international level, there is no more credible and reliable currency than the US dollar. And my strong feeling or belief is that the dollar will prevail as the main payment main currency in the international financial system.
Hyundai Motors' initial public offering opened for subscription today. The auto major raised 8,315 crore rupees from anchor investors. Total subscription reached 18% on day one. The retail portion has been subscribed 26% and the employed portion has been subscribed nearly 80%. The IPO will be open for 2 more days. Aviation regulator DGCA has removed SpiceJet from the enhanced surveillance regime. This after the airline successfully raised 3,000 crore rupees through a qualified institutional placement. The regulator will continue to conduct random spot checks on SpiceJet's operational aircraft to ensure safety. The DGCA said that the airline also has rectified deficiencies flagged during the 266 spot checks conducted as part of enhanced surveillance. A spate of bomb hoaxes have hit Indian airlines. That's right. We're staying with the aviation industry. Now, just a day after 3 bomb hoaxes, at least 5 flights were targeted with fake bomb threats today. Air India's Delhi to Chicago flight was forced to divert to Canada following a bomb threat. Air India said it is extending all cooperation to authorities in identifying the perpetrators and will consider legal action against those responsible to recover damages incurred by the airline. Also, passengers on Indigo's Dammam to Lucknow flight also faced inconvenience after their flight was diverted to Jaipur following a bomb threat. Meanwhile, a SpiceJet flight travelling from Darbhanga to Mumbai, Air India Express flight from Jaipur to Ayodhya and Akasa Air flight from Bagdogra to Bengaluru also received bomb hoaxes, putting hundreds of passengers through severe stress. Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the 8th edition of the India Mobile Congress. The event saw telecom service providers and top communications companies in attendance. Akashvani said Reliance Jio is laying the groundwork for national AI infrastructure. Bharti Airtel Sunil Mittal called for laws to ensure satellite companies pay license fees and buy spectrum. Kumar Mangala Birla said Vodafone Idea has kick-started the capex cycle after the recent fundraise.
आज भारत दुनिया का दूसरा बड़ा 5G मार्केट बन चुका है और अब हम 6G टेक्नोलॉजी पर भी तेजी से काम कर रहे हैं.
We are committed to democratizing AI, offering powerful AI models and services to everyone in India at affordable prices. Towards this end, we are laying the groundwork for a national AI infrastructure.
The fundraise has enabled the company to kickstart again its capex cycle. Vodafone Idea has already announced the next phase of capex detail worth $3.6 billion with 3 global partners, Nokia, Ericsson, and Samsung.
And those satellite companies who have ambitions to come into urban areas serving elite retail customers just need to take the telecom licenses like everybody else. This is a simple solution which can be done on a global scale, and India can again show the way in this particular regard.
Sunil Mittal there calling for satellite communication companies to buy spectrum at an auction, but Telecom Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia has ruled out an auction. He said spectrum will be allocated to SATCOM players at the price determined by the regulator. Ashwin Kumar is here with more on that response from Telecom Minister.
Well, important clarifications coming in from the Telecom Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia speaking here at the IMC 2024. Number one, there have been divergent views on whether or not spectrum for satellite communications is to be allocated or is to be auctioned. That question was answered by the Telecom Minister speaking here. He clarified that the Telecom Act is very clear that can only and only be allocation, administrative allocation of spectrum for satellite communication. No auction is possible under the Telecom Act, going on to say that it is subject to, however, a cost of allocation. That cost, that price of spectrum is to be determined by the TRAI, the telecom watchdog. It is open for the telecom watchdog to decide on that question. But going on to clarify that globally the precedent is clear. There is no auction of spectrum for satellite communication. It is only allocation. Number two, on the issue of support for data centers. Bear in mind that Akash Ambani, speaking at the inaugural session, had advocated for support, an incentive mechanism for data centers in India. Jyotiraditya Scindia said that PLI is a great example of what the state support can do, especially in the field of manufacturing. Also going on to say that this is an issue that the government is looking to move swiftly on, but saying that this is a question that MeitY will take a final call on. And finally, on the issue of tariff hike, Jyotiraditya Scindia speaking in support of the telecom company, saying that the tariffs are already extremely low, that the hikes have come on an extremely low base, and that if the telecom companies are not able to get a return on their investment, the transition from 4G to 5G and then to 6G will be challenging.
For SATCOM, spectrum will be allocated administratively. Now, that does not mean that spectrum does not come without a cost. What that cost is and what the formula of that costing is going to be will not be decided by you or me. It will be decided by TRAI. And there is a paper that has already been circulated by TRAI, and we have a regulatory authority for telecom, and that regulatory authority of telecom has been empowered by the Constitution to decide what that administrative pricing is going to be.
Samsung workers at the company's plant near Chennai have called off their strike after 5 weeks. Tamil Nadu government says company officials and the labour union have agreed to 4 major resolutions. Jude Sanat is here with more details.
Well, 5 weeks after it first began on September 9th, the strike called by the as yet unrecognized Samsung India Workers Union could finally be all set to end. In a statement issued by the Tamil Nadu government's Department of Labour, the government has clearly said that all 3 parties, the government, Samsung and these employees on strike, have had rounds of talks and consultation, after which these employees have now agreed to go back to work, depending, of course, on 4 resolutions that both Samsung and its employees have now agreed to abide by. Resolution number 1, that all these workers will return to work with immediate effect. Number 2, the fact that these workers, once they return to work, will not be victimized for having participated in the strike. Number 3, that these workers, once they return to work, will not hold any programs or demonstrations or engage in activities that will be detrimental to the interests of Samsung as a company. And number 4, that Samsung should in fact give a written reply to the charter of demands raised by these employees when they first began their strike. Effectively, this brings 5 weeks of a strike to an end. But interestingly enough, it also comes a week after Samsung made the first steps towards reconciling this strike with its employees, even offering a 5,000 rupee increment per month by way of a wage hike and a slew of other measures. However, Samsung is firm that it will not recognize the Samsung India Workers Union, which was a major bone of contention between the union and the company. However, we're told that with this resolution now engineered by the Tamil Nadu government, we could see these workers, nearly 1,000 of them, remember, who went on strike on September 9th, now return to their workstations at Samsung India's Sri Perumbudur plant. And for all you know, it could be business as usual as the weeks roll by.
All right. Thank you very much, Jude Sanath, for getting us that important story about the Samsung strike being called off. We'll await more updates from you and the company, of course. Moving on, India-Canada ties have hit an all-time low. Canada has said that the Indian High Commissioner Sanjay Kumar Verma and 5 other diplomats were involved in the killing of Khalistani activist Nijar. India has called the charge preposterous. Canadian police claims to have uncovered clear and compelling evidence that Indian agents threatened the safety of Canadian nationals. India's External Affairs Ministry has said this is all being done to serve the political agenda of the Trudeau government. India lodged a strong protest by withdrawing its High Commissioner and 5 other diplomats. The MEA also announced that 6 top Canadian diplomats have been expelled and they've been asked to leave by Saturday. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police has said that it has shared evidence of the involvement of Indian government agents in serious criminal activity, and that significant amount of information about the breadth and depth of criminal activity orchestrated by Indian government agents was recently given to Indian officials. They have said that Indian diplomats clandestinely collected information to target South Asian communities in Canada. They even allege that the Indian government used the help of organized gangs, including Lawrence Bishnoi, to carry out violent crimes on Canadian soil. Indian government sources have said that Canada has been making vague accusations without providing evidence, and that it is shocking that Canada is now targeting the Indian High Commissioner, who has been engaging intensively with Canadian government for the last 1 year. When asked if Canada will consider sanctions against India, the Canadian Foreign Minister said all options are on the table. At the same time, the Export Promotion Minister of Canada has said that the government will work closely with Canadian businesses to ensure important economic connections with India remain strong. Speaking at a press conference, Trudeau said there is compelling evidence with the Canadian police alleging a broader effort by the Indian government to target dissidents in Canada.
As the RCMP Commissioner stated earlier, they have clear and compelling evidence that agents of the Government of India have engaged in and continue to engage in activities that pose a significant threat to public safety. This includes clandestine information gathering techniques, coercive behavior targeting South Asian Canadians, and involvement in over a dozen threatening and violent acts, including murder. This is unacceptable.
What we have been telling the Canadians all along is that, look, let's work together to address these issues. The issues involved really are not a lot of people, a certain number of people who are working on terrorism, working on organized crime. They're associated with antisocial elements. Let us work on dealing with these elements together. The Canadians have not responded to that proposal of ours. Instead, they've gone on to raising issues in the public domain for political reasons, for whatever reasons best known to Mr. Trudeau. He has decided to take a different line altogether, and I think that is not in the interests of either the relationship or his own country's best.
An Indian inquiry committee is travelling to the United States to meet officials in the case related to the failed plot to assassinate of Sikh separatist leader Gurpatwant Singh Panun. The committee will present their findings and get an update on how the case is proceeding in the United States. Ahead of that visit, reports suggest that India has detained a former government official who was accused in the matter and identified as CC1. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar landed in Pakistan's capital Islamabad for the 23rd meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This is the first time in nearly 9 years that an Indian foreign minister has visited Pakistan. Top leaders from SCO member states will attend the 2-day summit, where stringent security measures have been imposed. India has signed a deal with the United States worth 32,000 crore rupees to buy 31 Predator drones manufactured by General Atomics. The deal also involves the establishment of a maintenance, repair and overhaul facility for these drones in India. The Indian Navy will receive 15 Sea Guardians, while the Indian Army and Air Force will each require and get 8 Sky Guardians under the project cleared by the Cabinet last week. Coming up on India Business Hour, India's Department of Consumer Affairs notifies new guidelines to prevent claims of greenwashing by companies. More details in just a bit. And you can also catch all CNBC TV 18 news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. The Election Commission has sounded the poll bugle for Maharashtra and Jharkhand Assembly elections. All 288 seats in Maharashtra will vote in a single phase on the 20th of November. Two alliances, the Maha Vikas Aghadi and the Maha Yuti, dominate the Maharashtra political landscape. The ruling Maha Yuti comprises the BJP, Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena and Ajit Pawar's NCP. The BJP and the undivided Shiv Sena had fought the 2019 elections in an alliance. However, since both the Shiv Sena and the Nationalist Congress Party has seen a split, the Shiv Sena faction headed by Uddhav Thackeray, the NCP faction headed by Sharad Pawar, and the Congress from the Maha Vikas Aghadi. They fought the 2024 Lok Sabha elections in an alliance and finished with a better tally than the Maha Yuti. The Nanded Lok Sabha by-poll will also be held on the 20th of November. The seat fell vacant after the death of sitting Congress MP Vasantrao Chavan. From Maharashtra to Jharkhand, which will see a two-phase voting on the 13th and 20th of November, the JMM Congress RJD alliance and the NDA will battle it out on 81 seats. The BJP is busy chalking out a seat-sharing agreement with its allies in Jharkhand. The All Jharkhand Student Union Party will contest between 9 to 11 seats as per Jharkhand BJP election in charge Himanta Biswa Sarma. Meanwhile, Nitish Kumar's Janata Dal United will contest 2 seats. The seat-sharing deal with Chirag Paswan's Lok Janshakti Party, Ram Vilas, is yet to be finalized. By-polls to Wayanad Lok Sabha seat would be held on the 13th of November. The by-election became a necessity after Rahul Gandhi, who won a Lok Sabha election from Rai Bareli and Wayanad, chose to give up the latter. The Wayanad by-elections would mark Priyanka Gandhi Vadra's poll debut. Heavy rains lashed Chennai and 3 adjoining districts. Schools and colleges are shut in Chennai today, and a red alert is in place for tomorrow as well. There is waterlogging in parts of the city. Road and rail services have thrown off gear. Flight services have been disrupted, with 8 flights being cancelled. As things stand, Tamil Nadu Deputy CM Udayanidhi Stalin has said that situation remains under control in Chennai.
Things are very much under control. Highest rainfall has been recorded in Shoringanallur and Tenambet area, around 6 centimeters, and the lowest in Kandayarpete, around 2.8 centimeters of rainfall. No power cut encountered in any areas in Chennai. 26 teams from NDRF and SDRF have been readily positioned in Chennai and all the coastal areas. Out of 22 subways in Chennai, 2 subways have been flooded and the traffic has been closed.
India's Department of Consumer Affairs has notified new guidelines on greenwashing by companies. Companies using terms like eco-friendly, organic in advertisements will need to substantiate those claims with evidence. Abhimanyu Sharma is here with more.
Clean, green, natural, pure, organic, any such adjective which is usually affixed as far as products are concerned, be it online or offline sales, can now only be affixed if adequate reason is provided by the manufacturer or advertiser. The Department of Consumer Affairs has come out with a set of guidelines to define greenwashing, which essentially has been defined as deceptive or misleading practice which involves concealing, omitting or hiding relevant information by exaggerating or making false or vague claims. Now, greenwashing is something which is now being opposed as per the guidelines which have come out in the public domain, in which any such terms like natural, pure, organic, sustainable, eco-friendly, cruelty-free, good for the planet or regenerative cannot be used without adequate reason being affixed as far as the advertisement is concerned. If at all companies making or selling such products fail to comply with the guidelines, they would be liable for prosecution under the Consumer Protection Act. Also, class action as well as individual action by the CCPA is also possible if the violations are found beyond such guidelines, along with other rules and the Consumer Protection Act. The advertisers making such claims will have to disclose reasons behind the advertisement. It remains to be seen how early any further clarifications would be issued by the government as far as the ambit of the newly notified rules is concerned, and which all companies would be covered under its domain.
Reliance Retail is betting big on its value fashion business. Yusta, the brand which competes directly with the likes of Trends Zudio, is drawing up aggressive expansion plans. CNBC TV 18's Shilpa Ranipeta reports.
This is Yusta, Reliance Retail's value fashion format where everything is priced below 999 rupees. Launched in August last year, Yoostar competes directly with Trends, Zudio and Shoppers Stop's Intune. The competition in the space is intense, and Reliance Retail is devoting all available resources to expand Yoostar, starting with the store count. At present, it says it's opening a new store every few days.
Our ambition is all markets. We have a network in this company which extends to every market. We have teams which are scouring the market and are trying to find us properties. We are opening stores very fast. So if I give you a number, I might be maybe 2 stores have opened in that time somewhere else in the country. But yes, we will look at opening stores every few days. All I will say is that it will be in thousands, not in hundreds. We don't talk beyond 2 years.
Thousands is a big number considering Yoostar currently has a little over 55 stores in 27 cities in India. Its competitor Zudio, meanwhile, already had 559 stores as of June 30, 2024. Intune had 31 and Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail Style Up had 30. But store count is just one step in Yoostar's aggressive plans where incumbents already have a foothold. So expanding its product portfolio beyond apparel into segments like cosmetics and accessories is also on the cards.
Our competition may have been in the market longer than us, but we intend to move into all these categories. Some accessories you will already see in our store. Footwear has also been introduced to our store, and very soon you will start seeing the categories you talked about like beauty and other products in the similar genre. Every muscle of the fashion lifestyle division will be devoted to this format, from getting design inputs from the global space.
With Zudio and Intune too aggressively opening stores, competition is intense in India's value retail space. But Yoostar says it will leverage Reliance Retail's design, manufacturing and network capabilities to make its mark in the space. In Mumbai, Shilpa Rani Peta.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you for watching. News continues right here on CNBC TV 18.